Daniel Cormier, also known as DC, is a UFC double champ and is one of the GOATs in the sport. If we all got lucky and Jon Jones just didn't exist, DC would be pretty undeniable as the GOAT in the UFC. But even though he's a great fighter, he is one of the worst commentators who is extremely biased towards the fighters he likes and just constantly glazes American wrestling whenever he can. And when I made a video like this on Joe Rogan, it worked out so well. I had 40-year-old men who have an emotional attachment to Joe Rogan roast me for the next 3 days. It's either that or they just started watching the UFC yesterday and think Joe Rogan is some type of genius when it comes to commentary. And if you've been watching the UFC for more than like 3 months, then you would know that Joe Rogan is nowhere near a genius when it comes to commentary.
He's the best.
Look, the guy developed a spinning back kick at 36.
Yeah.
Didn't have a spinning back kick his whole career. And then all of a sudden knocks out Stipe with a spinning back kick for the heavyweight title at 36, 37 years old. That's crazy.
Now, before I get into the video, I just want to really quickly specify that I actually like DC. He seems like a nice guy, he seems like a fun guy, but I'm just not biased towards him, and I can accept that he has flaws as a commentator. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while now, you'll know that I'm not biased towards anyone unless your name is Charles Oliveira. First, let's start with how DC is clearly very biased towards the Dagastani Fighters. And I know a lot of the UFC commentators are biased towards the Dagastani Fighters because the Dagastani Fighters are like on top of the sport pretty much, but I feel like DC does it the most out of all of them. I was watching the Merab vs. Umar fight a couple days ago, and I swear, almost every single time Merab landed a decent shot, Joe Rogan and Jon Anik would say something about it, and then like 4 seconds later, DC would be like, yeah, good shot by Merab. But then when Umar did literally anything, DC would immediately scream at the top of his lungs, saying something like, "Oh, that was an amazing kick. Did you see that, Joe Rogan? His kicks are amazing." And we all know why DC does this. It's because he's very good friends with Khabib and the other Dagestani fighters. I mean, there's like 20-minute videos on YouTube of them just hanging out and laughing a lot. They train together, hang out, they pretty much just hang out whenever they can. It makes sense that he's biased towards them, but he's got to cool it down a little, because it doesn't take a genius to realize he's doing it, and I don't think commentators should be biased towards one of the fighters while they are fighting. You can like one fighter more, but if your job is to commentate the fight, you shouldn't be over-exaggerating everything the fighter you like more does, just like DC. And it's not just me that's noticing this. There are many UFC fans that have noticed that DC is very clearly biased towards the Dagestani fighters. Even Justin Gaethje called him out on it a while ago. And now let's talk about how DC constantly glazes American wrestling. I swear, every single time DC is commentating a fight, every time someone shoots a single leg, you'll hear him say, "Oh, amazing single leg," but then the guy won't even take down his opponent with it. He also says American wrestling is still amazing in MMA, even though it's very clearly not. Wrestling is great for MMA, but for some reason American wrestling just hasn't been as dominant as others. I mean, just look at Bo Nickel. He is a great wrestler, but when you throw him inside the octagon, he can't even get a successful takedown on Reiner de Ritter. Now, it used to be a lot better back in the day. Back in the day, DC and Jon Jones were destroying everyone with American wrestling, but for some reason, everyone just knows how to defend it now. And DC kind of exposed himself that he's biased towards it a couple of months ago when he tried to defend American wrestling when the MMA guru said it didn't work in the UFC. What the MMA guru said is 100% true, and Chael Sonnen even agrees with him. But since DC is biased towards it, he just couldn't accept it, and he even kind of argued with Chael Sonnen about it. Now, I know what you guys are going to be commenting down below. Dude, you're just a kid in your room making a video about the UFC. DC is an Olympic level wrestler. You know nothing about wrestling, so maybe you should just listen to him. And that's true. I do not know much about wrestling. First off, DC only got a bronze medal, so he didn't even get golden. But do you need to be a good actor to know when someone's a bad actor? Do you need to be a video game developer to know if a video game is good or not? No. I'm not a wrestler, but I have eyes. I can see when something isn't working, or I can see when someone is a bad fighter. Plus, all of you guys already do that, so don't even point fingers at me saying I'm the only one that criticizes other fighters. And again, just look at the Merab versus Henry Ceruto fight. Henry Ceruto is an American gold medalist Olympian. and he did good against Merab until Merab threw Henry over his shoulder like a bag of rice and walked him around the octagon. Now let's talk more about DC's commentary. I've noticed if the commentary crew is like DC, John Anik, and Dominic Cruz, DC isn't nearly as bad. But if you pair him up with Joe Rogan, DC's commentary skills like plummet. I do like the dynamic between Joe Rogan and DC when they're commentating, because you can tell that they are good friends. But Joe Rogan will just say something so stupid, and then DC will completely agree with it and go along with it. Joe Rogan is like that one friend in school that will just bring you into his antics and constantly get you in trouble. Joe Rogan is that friend to DC. And you know, while we're talking about other commentators, let's take a moment to talk about John Anik. And now this video isn't about John Anik, so I'll make it quick. We all know that all the commentators are at least a little corrupt, and I used to think that John Anik was one of the best out of all of them. But after watching the UFC for some time now, I'm starting to think that John Anik might actually be the most corrupt. I say this because every time, right before a robbery happens, John Anik will just say the most random stat that favors the fighter who got the robbery win. And it'll be the most random stat you've ever heard, and you'll never hear that stat ever again unless it's brought up right before another robbery. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think that John Anik has a little bit of corruption in him? Or do you think that I'm just slowly becoming some crazy conspiracy theorist? DC also needs to cool it on the Popeyes chicken. I don't really want to fat shame him since I do like DC, but I think he should relax a little on the food. There's that famous clip of him in the weigh-in show interviewing fighters that are currently doing a weight cut, and he's just sitting there with a massive tray of food. He also sometimes eats when he's commentating, and you can very easily tell because you can hear him chewing on food when he's congratulating someone on a takedown. And that is going to be the end of the video. But I'll be honest with you guys, even though what I said is true in some way, I do believe it is true, but I also was rage baiting a little during this video. Back when I talked about the Joe Rogan problem, I was spitting straight facts, and a lot of people got mad at me for that. So for this video, I was just kind of leaning into it a little. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think that I'm right and DC is heavily biased towards some of the fighters and is kind of a bad commentator? Or do you think he's a good commentator and I'm just tripping? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you guys have made it this far into the video and you've enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. If you want to see more videos like this, I have one on how I talk about if Charles Oliveira has fallen off. And I also talk about how I 100% believe that John Jones has been to a Diddy party. And I also 100% believe that if you guys go watch that video, you'll agree with me that he has been to a Diddy party. But anyways, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Every inch of me is perfect from the bottom to the top. Yeah, my mama, she told me don't worry about your size.